जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारि यमुना तीरा वनचारि जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा गिरिधारी श्री राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय बालादेव जय सुभद्रा जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय जय श्री श्री राधा गिरधारी भगवान की जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा की जय गौर निताई की जय निताई गो प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल all girls are similarly very Hare Krishna, all girls are similarly Hare Krishna, all girls are similarly Hare Krishna, all girls are Dr. Sridhar Shishi Guru and Shishi Goranga, all girls Srila Prabhupada, all girls Srila Guru ki jai. Hare Krishna and good morning. So we are reading from Prabhupada Lilamrita, Prabhupada Lilamrita ki jai. That sacred thread is a sign that a person has a spiritual master. Here, of course, there's no such distinction between, but according to the Hindu system, a married girl also has some sign so that people can understand that this girl is married. She wears a red mark on so that others may know that she is married. And according to the division in the hair, what is this line called? Man part? Prabhupada. Man part. Prabhupada. What is the spelling? Man part. Prabhupada. Part. This part also has some meaning. They know English and he knows the Gita, but he knows a good deal of English, whereas they know particularly nothing of the Gita, which he has to spoon feed to them. But occasionally he asks their help in English vocabulary. When the part is in the middle, then the girl has her husband, and she is coming from a respectable family. And if the part is here and she is a prostitute, with a slight gesture, he raises his hand toward, but never really reaching his head. Yet somehow the half gesture clearly indicates a part on the side of the head. And then again, when a girl is well dressed, it should be understood that she has her husband at home. And when she is not well dressed, it is to be understood that her husband is away from home. You see, and a widow's dress, there's so many symptoms. So similarly, the sacred thread is a sign that a person has accepted a spiritual master, just as the red mark symbolizes that a girl has a husband. Although his audience may be momentarily enamored by what appears to be a description of Indian social customs, a careful listener can grasp the greater context of Prabhupada's speech. Everyone must accept a spiritual master. It's a heavy topic for a casual audience. What is the need of taking a spiritual master? Isn't this just for India? But he says everyone should have a spiritual master. What is a spiritual master anyway? Maybe he means that accepting a spiritual master is just another cultural item from Hinduism, like the thread or the part in a woman's hair or the widow's dress. The audience can easily regard his discussion as a kind of cultural exposition, just as one comfortably watches a film about the living habits of people in a foreign land, although one has no intention of adopting these habits as one's own. The Swami is wearing one of those threads on his body, but that's for Hindus, and it doesn't mean that Americans should wear them. But these Hindus believe are interesting. Actually, Prabhupada has no motive but to present the absolute truth, as he has heard it in disciplic succession. But if anyone in that railroad car shaped room were to ask himself, should I surrender to a spiritual master? He would be confronted by the existential presence of a genuine guru. One is free regard his talk as one likes. In every step of one's life, the spiritual master guides. Now, to give such a guidance, a spiritual master should always be a very perfect man. Otherwise, how can he guide? Now, here, Arjuna knows that Sri Krishna is the perfect person. So, therefore, he is accepting him. Sishyaste aham sadhi, Sishyaste aham sadhi, mam tuam prapannam. Sanskrit. No one knows a word of it, but there is never any question for Srila Prabhupada. Even if they don't understand it, the transcendental sound of Shastra will purify them. It is his authority, and he cannot omit it. And even at first impression, it presents an air of scholarly authority, the original, though foreign, words of the sages. I'm just surrendering unto you, and you accept me as your disciple, Arjuna says. Friendly talks cannot make a solution to perplexity. Friendly talks may be going on for years together, but no solution. So here, Arjuna accepts Krishna as a spiritual master. This means that whatever Krishna will dictate, he has to accept. One cannot deny the order of the spiritual master. Therefore, one has to select a spiritual master by whose orders one will not commit a mistake. Suppose you accept the wrong person as spiritual master and he guides you wrongly, then your whole life is spoiled. So one has to accept a spiritual master whose guidance will make one's life perfect. That is the relationship between spiritual master and disciple. It is not a formality. It is a great responsibility both for the disciple and for the spiritual master. And yes, student, but if the disciple is in ignorance before, Prabhupada, yes, Prabhupada acknowledges a serious question. It is for answering questions like this from disciples in ignorance that he has left retirement in India and come to America. Student, how does he know which master to choose? Because he doesn't have the knowledge to make a wise decision. Prabhupada, yes. So the first thing is that one should be searching for after a spiritual master. Just as you search after some school, you must have you must at least have some preliminary knowledge of what a school is. You can't search for a school and go to a clothes shop. If you are so ignorant that you do not know what is a school and what is a clothes shop, then it is very difficult for you. You must know at least what a school is. So that knowledge is like that. So that knowledge is like this. That Vijnanan Artham Sa Gurum Eva Vigachate Samit Panihi Shrotriyam Brahma Nishtam. According to this verse, the spiritual master is required for a person who is inquisitive about transcendental knowledge. There's another verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Tasman Gurum Prapatyate Jignashu Shreya Uttamam. One should search after a spiritual master if one is inquisitive about transcendental subject matters. Unless one is at least conversant with preliminary knowledge of transcendental matters, how can he inquire from the spiritual master? His questioner seems satisfied. The lecture is not a prepared speech on a specific subject. Though great and thorough in scholarship, it ranges over several philosophical paths. Yet he never pauses groping for words. He knows exactly what he wants to say. And it is only a question of how much his audience can take. But sometimes his mood is light and he commiserates with his fellow New Yorkers, chuckling about the difficulties they share. Suppose there is a heavy snowfall, the whole New York City is flooded with snow, and you all are put into inconvenience. That is sort of suffering, but you can have no control over it. Sometimes he praises Dr. Mishra's students for having learned it so nicely from their teacher. Now, what Dr. Mishra is teaching is very nice. He's teaching that first of all, you must know who am I. That is very good. But that who am I can be known from Bhagavad Gita also. I'm not this body. And sometimes the guest suddenly speaks out with an irrelevant question, and the Swami patiently tries to consider it. Yet behind his tolerance, Prabhupada's mood is always one of urgency. Sometimes he talks quickly, and one senses his desire to establish Krishna consciousness in the West as soon as possible. He has no followers, only a few books, no temples, and he openly states that is racing against time. I'm an old man. I could leave at any time. So the formal behind the formal delivery of Krishna conscious philosophies and anxiety, an almost desperate desire to convince at least one soul to take up Krishna consciousness immediately. Now the constrained situations of Butler and the Ananda Ashram and Dr. Mishra behind him, he's free to speak about the absolute truth in full. Throughout his life, he has prepared for this, yet he is still discovering the best ways to present Krishna, exploring his Western audience, testing their reactions. We should always remember that he is God, he is all powerful. In strength, no one could conquer him. In beauty, as far as beauty is concerned, when he was on the battlefield. Have any of you seen a picture of Krishna? Have any of you ever seen Krishna? Oh, no. Prabhupada's voice fades as he pauses, looking out at his audience. No one has ever seen Krishna. None of them have the slightest previous knowledge of Lord Krishna. In India, hundreds of millions worship Krishna daily as the eternal form of all beauty and truth and view his graceful form in sculpture, painting, and dance. His philosophical teachings in Bhagavad Gita are all famous, and Prabhupada, in his intimate emissary. Yet the ladies and gentlemen in room 307 look back at the Swami blankly. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishna, everyone can see the today's verse also. Just to confirm, it is opening it now.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The verse we just praise. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Dudirai Nastaprayasya Bhatrasu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki Grantarashim Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So today's verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, Text 41. Pravrittaya Nivrittaya Pitra Devaya Karmani Namo Dharma Vipakaya Mityave Dukkhadaya Cha Pravrittaya Nivrittaya Pitra Devaya Karmani Namo Dharma Vipakaya Mityave Dukkhadaya Cha Pravrittaya Nivrittaya Pitra Devaya Karmani Namo Dharma Vipakaya Mityave Dukkhadaya Cha. Hare Krishna, I would request kindly Prabhuji's if you would like to read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandot
Hare Krishna,
Pranam.
Prabhuji.
Pravrittaya Nivrittaya Pitridevaya Karmane Namo Dharma Vipakaya Mittuve Dukkadaya Cha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I am listening.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhrittaya nivrittaya pitri devaya karmane namo dharmo vipakaya nityave dukkhadaya cha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mata.
Prabhritaya nivritaya pitridevaya karmani namo dharmo vipakaya vidyave dukhyadaya cha.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I am also trying.
Hare Krishna, Mata.
Pavitraya nivritaya pitri devaya karmane namo adharma vipakaya mrityave dukhodaya cha. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Synonyms. Pravrittaya, inclination. Nivrittaya, disinclination. Pitra Devaya, unto the master of Pitraloka. Karmane, unto the resultant action of routine activities. Namaha, offering respects. Adharma, irreligious. Vipakaya, unto the result. Mityave, unto death. Dukkhadaya, the cause of all kinds of miserable conditions. Cha, also. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Lord, you are the viewer of the results of pious activities. You are inclination, disinclination, and the resultant activities. You are the cause of the miserable conditions of life caused by irreligion, and therefore you are dead. I offer you my respectful obeisances. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in everyone's heart, and from him issue a living entity's inclinations and disinclinations. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15.15. Sarvasya chaham hiri sannivishta matasmatir jnanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. The Supreme Personality of Godhead causes the Asuras to forget him, and the devotees to remember him. One's disinclinations are due to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to Bhagavad Gita 16.7, Pravrittam cha nivrittam cha jana na vidur asuraha. The Asuras do not know which way one should be inclined to act and which way one should not be inclined to act, although the Asuras oppose devotional service. It is to be understood that they are inclined that way due to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. because asuras do not like to engage in the Lord's devotional service. The Lord within gives them the intelligence to forget. The ordinary karmis desire promotion to Pitraloka, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.25. Yanti deva vrata, devan pitran yanti pitra vrataha. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods, and those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors. In this verse, the word dukkadaya is also very significant. For those who are non-devotees are perpetually put into the circle of birth and death. This is a miserable, very miserable condition. But one's position in life is attained according to one's activities. The asuras or non-devotees just are put into such miserable conditions. This is the invocation prayer. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Ayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Tam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lita Shri Vishakhavitam Shri He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarivasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaur Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. Pravrittaya Nivrittaya Pitradevaya Karma Namo Adharma Vipakaya Mittave Dukkha Dayacha. I'll just read the translation one more time. My dear Lord, you are the viewer of the results of pious activities, your inclination, disinclination, and the resultant activities. You are the cause of the miserable conditions of life caused by irreligion, and therefore you are dead. I offer you my respectful obeisances. Hare Krishna. So we see this chapter specifically named as chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. So we have been hearing within Shivan Bhagavatam, which is full of glories of Lord and his devotees. Here, a devotee is glorifying Lord Krishna. And while Lord Shiva is continuing his prayers, within his prayers, he is pointing out, or he's glorifying the qualities of the Lord. In most of the cases, we hear the positive qualities of the Lord, like how he's omnipresent, how he's omnipotent, how is Om Purnam, how is complete. But here we see a different quality of the Lord, which is where Lord Shiva is saying that he's the cause of all miserable conditions of life caused by irreligion, and also he's dead. And Prabhupada further explains in the purport that as Lord being omnipresent, he's in everyone's heart, and from him comes remembrance. So he provides the inclination and disinclination for one to everyone. And this inclination, disinclination is as per one's desire. Like disinclination, nivrittaya. If one does not want to remember the Lord, they don't want to worship the Lord, then Lord from within the heart provides them the intelligence to forget the Lord. Like the asuras, they don't want to worship the Lord. Kamsa never wanted to worship the Lord. He wanted to kill the Lord. He hated the Lord so much that every time, every moment, he was thinking about the Lord with intention of hurting or killing the Lord. With such intentions, was he ever happy? No. He was never happy. He was never satisfied. He couldn't even sleep properly. As a result, he was always in misery. So such disinclination of not worshipping the Lord or not having favorable desires towards service of the Lord brings miseries. Whereas with inclination, pravrittaya, devotees who wants to serve the Lord, who are always thinking about the Lord, who's always glorifying the Lord, they are always happy. They are in bliss. Like Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, from very childhood, was always glorifying the Lord, was always praying, worshipping the Lord. Even when his father tried to kill him, Hiranyakashipu tried so hard so that Prahlad Maharaj forgets the Lord. He sends him to a school where he can learn about how to glorify his demon father. But the end result was he was glorifying the Lord, and all the students, they also started glorifying the Lord. So a devotee's desire, a devotee's dedication is so strong that he is able to convert this disinclination to inclination, because Lord provides that intelligence as per our desire, as per our inclination. And as a result, even when being tried to be killed so many times by his demonic father, he never gave up. He was always remembering the Lord and received the mercy of the Lord. So we can see that according to one's desire, one's inclination to act happens. And within the purport, Prabhupada says that such desires are all fulfilled by the Lord himself, as he's seated in everyone's heart. Hriday Sannivishta. Prabhupada further explains within the purport that in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, text 25, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pittayanti Pitra Vrataha. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods, and those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors. So as per, again, it comes down to one's desire. Again, if one wants to go to demigod's planet to enjoy the luxurious life, to enjoy the opulence, then they worship the demigods. At the same time, if one wants to worship the Pitraloka, to go to Pitraloka planet, they worship the Pitralokas. In the purport within chapter 9, text 25 of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada further explains that if even one wants to go to one wants to be associated with Pishacha, ghost, then they worship the ghost also. Possible to go to ghostly planets. So the common understanding is of the people is that they name such activities as spiritualism, but these are completely materialistic desires. These are completely materialistic. And why do they worship demigods or Petroloka or even Pishasha? Because they want to satisfy their senses. It's all for sense gratification. But at the end of such worship, the result is always some fruits. And Prabhupada says that fruit is always leading to dukkadaya. It's dukkadaya because one has to come back once they have been promoted to those planets, higher planets of opulence. So, and once the credits are finished, they have to come back again into the circle of birth and death. and go through the same result, miseries, as Prabhupada mentioned, dukkadaya. Same cycle of janma, mrityu, jarayati, vyadi. So, not knowing that such material activity brings miseries, dukkadaya, they are never satisfied. Whereas a devotee who knows the message of God only performs spiritual activity, and that brings satisfaction. So again, it is one's activity that helps them to attain their position in life. And it is one's desire that inclines them towards such activity. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada, in Canto 7, chapter 15, text 47, Prabhupada again says that pravrittam cha nivrittam cha duividam karma vaidikam avartate pravrittena nivrittena sunate amritam. So the pravrittam, the meaning of pravrittam there is that inclination for material enjoyment, and nivrittam is cessation of material enjoyment. So that there's two activities. One helps us to level up or go to a higher higher condition of materialistic life, whereas the second, which is nivrittam, means cessation of material desires. So one is leading, the pravrittam is leading one to entanglement, and the other one is to purify and become fit to enjoy eternal blissful life. So if we boil down, it all comes down to what we desire. Now the question comes: do we desire to serve the Lord, or do we desire to serve the material energy of the Lord? A devotee always desires Lord's service and Lord's service and his pure and his pure devotees association. Every morning, a devotee starts his day by praying to Srimati Tulsi Maharani, Radha Krishna Seva Pabo Ei Abhilashi. We are saying that we want Srimati Radharani and Krishna's service. This is what my desire is. And what else? Morai Abhilasha, Vilas Kunje Diyo Vashan. This is my desire, that you give me a place in the abode of Godhead. We can see from Srila Prabhupada that Srila Prabhupada's desire was to serve his spiritual master. And his desire was so strong that when he wanted to print books, money came. When he wanted to distribute books, devotees came. And when he desired to build temple for Lord, temples got built. Why? Because it was all to serve the Lord as per his Guru's instruction, as per his Guru's direction. Similarly, Mahaprabhu, who is none other than God himself, has told us, has given us this instruction that na dhanam na janam, na janam na dhanam na sundarim kavitam ishakamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhaktir ahituki tvai. I don't want any high birth, a birth in a rich family. I don't want any of the I don't want any opulence. I don't want any beauty. All I want is what? It's bhakti. Birth after birth after. So we don't want B&B, Airbnb. We want birth after birth. What do we want? We want birth after birth. What do we want? We want devotional service of God. And that is our supreme occupation. In Canto 1, chapter 2, text 6, Prabhupada says that, Lord says, Sarvai Pumsada Paro Dharma Yato Bhaktir Adoksaje Ahitukya Pratihata Yayatma Suprasidaha. The supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the Lord. And it's ahituki, unmotivated and uninterrupted devotional service in order to completely satisfy the self. So we can see our desire to do activity, our desire is leading to activity, and that activity, if it's favorable, if it's kullena, then to Krishna service, then we do devotional service. And what happens? Yayatma supersedati, completely satisfy the self. If we, as Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, that if someone waters the roots of the plant, the whole tree gets nourished, the whole tree gets satisfied. Same way, if we are serving the Lord, then all of these requirements, all of the necessities of life, all of the demigods, they all will be satisfied. So we will be satisfied too. Completely satisfy the self. Or else, if we are following a dharma, vipaka, or life of religion, then what will happen? Dukkhadaya, cause of all kinds of miseries. So we need to invoke such spiritual desires. But how? How do we invoke the spiritual desires? Through Bhakti Lata Bij. Only by the mercy of Lord, by following the instruction of Guru, hearing and chanting, one can invoke those desires, spiritual desires. And everything starts with hearing. As Prabhupada said, when we may not have a desire now at this moment, but when we hear something, oh, if somebody says that, can you eat some sweet or something that is favorable for them, then all of a sudden that desire comes. So what we hear builds up those types of desires. If you're hearing materialistic opulence, then we will desire material opulence. If you're hearing glories of the Lord or spiritualistic or spiritual message of the Lord, then we will desire spiritual service. So it's very important what we hear, from whom we hear, which will give us that desire. And Prabhupada also, in today's Lilamrita, say that it's very important from whom we hear and what we hear. Depending on that, our desire to serve the Lord will grow and will end this dukkadaya within this material world. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If there's any comments or question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Beautiful mentioning this inclination and disclination. It is so beautiful examples of what is the differences between the two and how we come across to come up from these two things to understand in a better way. He explains with so much examples and very simply, so to understand it easily. And you can see in the Lilamrita also, the same thing is Srila Prabhupada was explaining to the Western people what is the need of a spiritual master. It's very, very important to select the right spiritual master to understand the subject, what is inclination and inclination. It's very important. The sooner we get the tempted subject or tempted something, we get that attempt to try it, but that is not the actual case what it should be. That's why to understanding the adharma vipakaya mrityeva dukkadaya cha. So if we don't understand, the result is this. But if we understand what is the impact of connecting to the Lord, that gives us the real peace of mind and real happiness. That is text 6 of 1.2.6. Savoi pumsa paro dharma yato bhakti natukshati. Vahitu kiya pratiyadaya kiya atma suprasiddhati. So that is the ultimate result we get by connecting the right sources with the right perspective, understanding the importance of connecting the spiritual master. So the two opposite reaction we get by selecting the proper choice of a right spiritual master and right subject matter. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Thank you very much for the very nice class. And one thing that is Prabhupada has mentioned is that we should know what is, and you have told about pravritti and nivritti, and what we should do, and that is what we should act also based on that. And that's why on the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 16, verse 23, it is Arjuna is being told by Lord Sri Krishna that Your Shastra Vidhi Mustrijya Vartate Kamakarato No Shoshidhim Avapnati No Shukham No Parantati. That means that who discards the spiritual injunction and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor supreme destination. That means we have to know, as you have told, what is dharma, as is mentioned, as you have told in Srimad Bhagavatam 1-6, what is dharma. But we have to not only, we have to follow that accordingly, following the instruction, what is given in the Shastra, and wherever we have any doubt about that, we should ask our spiritual master to help us or take the help from other Vaishnavas who can help us. And in this way, we can make our things perfect. Otherwise, unless we follow that, and unless we follow that, we are not following dharma. And one who doesn't follow dharma, he cannot have perfection and happiness in his life. So we should always be careful to know what is dharma and what is adharma, and pravritti and nivritti, what we should do and what we should not do. And in this way, by following the perfect instruction as given in the scriptures and following the instruction of our spiritual master and other Vaishnavas, we can get ourselves perfect and get the mercy of the Supreme Lord so that we can make our life perfect. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
If there's no question or comments, I'll request Shamata.
We can bring the class to a close. Thank you, Prabhu. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhupayeva patitanam pavonebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Grace Sumati Nimai Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.